Well, we're going to be looking at food photography again, and we're going to be dealing with one of the tough things within food photography, and that is reflections and hotspots and unwanted light on our cutlery and utensils. We want to up our game. We have to deal with my evil nemesis, the spoon. This thing reflects and refracts the whole room within it. How can we deal with that? Well, we're going to get into some principles and laws of lighting, and we're going to see how we can deal with it. So if that's what you're into, stick around. All right, I'm not going to get so much into the physics and science of this. I'm mainly going to try and show you practical ways of how all this works. But we do need to go a bit over the sciencey stuff. That being said, the first things we need to deal with is direct reflection and diffuse reflection. Well, diffuse reflection is not really our problem. It's not causing us major issues. It's that nasty direct reflection that is causing all our problems. So let me put this little diagram up to help try and explain it. You have the angle of incident, your light source coming down, hitting your shiny surface, and the angle of reflection, direct reflection, back right into your camera lens. That is our problem. That is our issue. And you can see that the angle of incident is equal to the angle of reflection. So you're saying, what does all this mean? Well, it's quite simple. The light travels in a straight line, hits that shiny surface, and bounces back up into our camera lens. So that is where our issue is. And that's what you need to understand is how that's happening and why that's happening. Now in this little clip here, you can see I've got the studio strobe there and the light's bouncing down, hitting the knife, going to bounce right back into the camera. I drop a napkin on top of that, and let's have a look at the images. Now you can see the image with the knife, how I got that big burnout on the blade. That's because I'm getting a direct reflection from the studio light right back up into my camera lens. Now with the napkin, I'm not getting that. Why? One, it's not shiny. Two, it's a rougher surface, so the light's bouncing all over the place. It's scattering, so it's a diffused reflection. So I'm not getting that hot spot on it. So hopefully that explains in a practical approach of how that is. The light's coming down, striking the blade, going straight into the camera lens. With the napkin, it's not that issue because it's not shiny and it's got multiple surfaces to it and it's bouncing all over. Along with that, we have what's called the family of angles. The family of angles is, boom. Here's a little diagram to help explain it. Again, we have our light source, we have our camera, and you can see we have that angle coming down and then straight back up into the camera lens. But look at the two lines coming off the studio light there. That is anything in between that. That is the family of angles. So anything that falls within that, you're going to get a direct reflection. So you can see how it hits our subject and bounces back up. Now, the subject size determines the angle and how much room we have to play, and the camera position determines the angle of families. So if I'm having problems with the direct reflection, I can move my camera or my subject. So have a look at this little video clip. You can see where I've got the light there, and when I move my camera, change its position, how I get hot spot, and then I get diffuse light, hot spot, diffuse light. You can see how that works. Now, what happens if I move the subject versus the camera? Well, the same thing happens because I'm moving out of the family of angles, and that is a key to it. Once you move that problem child out of the family of angles, you no longer get a direct reflection, you get a diffused reflection, and that's more or less what we want, unless you're after that burning hot spot. All right, that's given you the two basic principles to this, the angle of incident, and we've got the family of angles. You get the basic understanding of that, it'll make the job a lot easier. Now you have to remember though, that the cutlery is not my main thing. Like, unless I'm shooting like cutlery for a catalog or something, or for a company, they're props. They're just added into the scene. The food is my main topic. So if I have an issue with an item, maybe I can move it outside of the family of angles. Maybe I can change to a smaller spoon, then it doesn't cause that problem. You can play within the family of angles. Now that being said too, because it's just a prop, check out this little video here. You can see I've got the light coming down and I got the hot spot. But look what happens when I tip the knife a little bit. I change the angle that the light hits the knife, and the direct reflection is now bouncing off to the left, not straight back up into my camera lens. Boom, problem solved. Because it's a prop, it's not the main subject. I just need a bit of sticky tack or the plumber's putty to go underneath the knife, just to tip it a bit and change that angle. It's that simple how you can correct that, but you got to pay attention to those little details. Now, another thing that we can do to help eliminate all this is something like this, and that is a matte spray. This one is a gloss spray. I finished my matte spray up. This is the opposite of what we want. I just wanted to show you the brand and kind of what it looks like. It's just basically like a spray paint, but it's a matte spray. I have used it in previous videos, and I'll give you the same warning in this one. This stuff does not like to come off. So whatever you're spraying it on, it's pretty much going to be there for a long, long time. And on your cutlery, I wouldn't want to use it to eat with. But it's a way to get a matte finish on your cutlery if you don't have any. I would just prefer going out and buying matte cutlery, but if you don't and you've got a set that you love the look of and you want to matte finish it, well, you can. And here's an example of a spoon that's one matte sprayed, one not matte sprayed, and you can see with a small light source how you create that small little hot spot on there. Now, if we switch that out and we go to a large light source, look at the difference between the two. So that large light source, what is it doing? It's filling the family of angles, and I'm getting a greater reflection within the spoon, but I think it looks a lot better than that tiny little hot spot. Now, another trick, if you don't want to use matte spray or you don't have matte stuff, maybe you have some antique stuff. Maybe it's all patinaed and kind of tarnished. That works almost like a matte spray. Look at this little spoon here. You can see the difference between the two. One is that high gloss finish, and look at the problems with the reflections all over that. You can even see me in it. Then look at the other one. It's not in there because of the finish on it, because it's not that shiny anymore. And again, with a small light source, how, again, it's reacting with it. Now I go to a large light source and I'm filling the family of angles. You can see the difference, that the tarnished one works pretty good. So that's another alternative. If you don't want to do the matte spray and you don't have matte finish cutlery, then maybe you've got some old weathered type stuff that'll give you that nice rustic look to it, which would be really good. Now, sometimes though, my nemesis, no matter what you do or how you twist it and turn it, you can't get rid of the reflection of the room because of the curvature on this. It's showing the whole room like a fisheye lens. And it's got me in there, it's got my assistant in there, it's got the light in there, everything's in there. No matter what I do, I can't get rid of it. So you're gonna have to rely on Photoshop. There's no tip, trick, guesswork, whatever, that's going to eliminate the problem completely 100%. Everything that I've been telling you so far helps to limit it to a point, but more than likely you're going to have to resort to Photoshop. Now here's a before and after, and you can see exactly what I mean with that spoon. And Photoshop fixed it up, and boom, I got a beautiful image at the end. But you have to resort to Photoshop because there's no tip or trick that's going to do it. And the last thing your client wants to see is you peering through your camera, or however you're doing it, in the spoon or the cutlery. So you're going to have to rely on Photoshop to clean that up, to step up your game within it. There is one alternative to everything I've said that'll guaranteed 100% work. You're not going to have the evil nemesis to deal with. How about wood? A wooden spoon will work wonderful. And if you don't want to go the wood route, why not just take the fork and just stick it into the food, and then there's your problem solved, because it can't reflect off of it because most of it's hidden within the food. So one last little point for you in with this is the large diffused light source will definitely be your friend in dealing with the lighting and the hot spots and reflections, because you're going to be filling the family of angles, and it'll just make things a lot better. And any of the glowing and reflecting you are getting has a nicer, softer appearance to it, rather than the hard burned in, hard lined look that you get from a hard light. So hopefully all that helps you out. Get out there, play with it, experiment with it, up your food photography game. So that's it for this one. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you're aware when I post new videos like this. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help me out. So, until the next time.